Industry Talk podcast. It's a new season. It's a new year. It's a new episode. And I think I have a new co-host, but she hasn't agreed yet. So I'm Jazz, the CEO, in case you do not know. But if you do, that's probably why you're here. Welcome back. And this is, what do you want the people to call you? Because you don't like what I call you.
Yeah, because it's my government. I don't like my government.
So we don't want the government all up in our stuff. It is tax time, but
Miss D is D. It's what I prefer.
Miss D.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm Jazz, CEO. This is Miss D. That's what she prefers. And today, we're just doing things different. We don't have a subject matter. We don't have restraints on this podcast anymore. This is Industry Talk podcast still, but it's going to be all over the industry. And I don't just mean the security industry or the PI industry. I smoke cigars and I drink bourbon, so we can talk about that industry. I'm going to have bartenders on here. I'm going to have people about the security industry on here. But today, I want y'all to get to know me. So I have asked Miss D here to dig into me, ask me questions, talk about some stuff. Talk about one of my main subjects, which is de-escalation. And we are revamping the book, in case you can't tell. From 0 to 35 is back out. It's basically the anniversary edition. Some new added pages. And we also have just created a class around it as well. So that should be interesting. So I'm done hosting, and I'm going to give it to Miss D. Okay, so y'all ready for that? Cool.
Fair enough. Okay, so let's just start with who you are. So, Jazz the CEO. Who is Jazz the CEO?
Okay, well, I'm a dog.
Okay.
I'm a sister. I'm a believer in the Lord Jesus.
Amen.
I'm 5'3", but I bite like I'm 6'2".
I'm here for that.
Big energy. So I feel like right now who I am is somebody that is really intertwined in self-care. Who I am right now is someone who is trying to figure out how to leave a long-lasting legacy. That's who I am today.
Okay.
And I say today because in the last 3 years, I have realized that I change frequently, and so do other people. But we don't like to think about that because sometimes people say, oh, you changed, and it's setting a negative tone.
Right.
But I could change next week.
Yeah.
I could no longer like fedoras. I mean, I'm not going to. But I could no longer like fedoras next week. I could no longer like this next week. So I feel like that who I am today right now is somebody that's trying to figure out how to get as much information that I have inside of my body out into the world while I'm here.
I appreciate that.
That's who I am today.
I like that. I appreciate you for being that person.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have a book.
I have the book.
0 to 35.
Yeah.
What's the inspiration behind that?
Wow. That's a good question, actually. The inspiration behind that was none. I got forced to do that book.
Really?
I have a business coach named Shauna Henson. Shout out to Shauna. She told me to write a book. I said no. I said I'm not a writer. I'm not an author. I don't know how to write a book.
Okay.
She said, yes, you do. I said, no, I don't. So we went back and forth with that for a while, actually. So then, because of who she is, she figured out a way to break the process down for me and trick me into doing it. So she said, this is where 35 came from. She said, you know what? Do me a favor. Write 35 things that you do that are like de-escalation related. Like, can you just like write out 35 times you've had to use de-escalation? So now I'm like, I'm not thinking, oh, I'm writing a book. I'm thinking, oh, she wants to know my experience. Yeah. All right, well, I know my experience. So 35 times that I've used de-escalation, I'm 5'3". I've had to use it a lot. So, okay. And that's how the 35 things came. That's why it's 0 from 35. That's where the title came from. She tricked me. Give me 35 times you've used de-escalation. And so every day I went to work, I was working at a club downtown. It's a club plus it was like a wedding facility. And every time I went there on my downtime, I would remember another thing. and I would write down another thing, and I would number them, and I went from 5 to 7 to 13 to 22, and I finally got to 35, and I brought it back to her. I said, here's the 35 times that I used de-escalation. And she said, thank you so much. Thank you. Now, can you elaborate on them a little bit, like maybe 3 to 4 sentences?
Oh, she got you good.
And I said, okay, cool. Just, duh. Yeah. She's like, just elaborate kind of like how you did that. Like, you told me about when, but like, how, like one of them was like, I make jokes, and the other one was like, I blame somebody else, or something like that, but it was just one word, it was just one sentence. Yeah. So she was like, oh, can you just elaborate on that a little bit? So I took more time, I elaborated on it, each one, and I came back, and I was like, okay, here, like, so what are we doing with this? And she said, oh, we gotta book you a photo shoot. I said, why are we booking a photo shoot? She said, because you just wrote a book. We need a photo for the cover and the inside and the promo. And I was like, I didn't write no book. She was like, this is going to be an easy to usable manual style book, small paperback. We're going to put it out just like that, and we're going to call it from 0 to 35. And I was like, okay, I wrote a book, and that's what we're going to call it. Wow. I didn't even come up with the name. She asked me what I wanted to name it, and I said, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. You just had me write 35 things. And she was like, from 0 to 35. And then, so in my forward, this version is just the public consumption version, but there's a version in the Library of Congress. And the one that's in the Library of Congress actually has her name in it as a contributor, so that she's also listed in the library. Nice. Because she did that. And I didn't even know at the time that you could put your stuff in the Library of Congress. Yeah. But I think while I was trying to become an author, I saw that somewhere, and then I was like, let me see if I can slide in the and all you do is you submit it, and I think there might be a fee, maybe, I can't really remember, this was like 4 years ago, but nice. Yeah, I didn't even have the number yet. Shout out to Shauna for even sliding that in there the way she did that. I didn't even have that flowers yet. When I really? Yeah, that was the beginning of me becoming. And the pictures are in the what used to be known as the assembly room, but now is Iconic Live. It got sold, and so that all the pictures in the book are from that facility that I wrote the book in. That is interesting. I was at work writing the book in that job, and they also let me use the facility. That's interesting. Yeah, they were good people. Yeah, that is bomb. This book mainly talks about de-escalation. Hold on. You're cut off. Like, completely. I can't see your body at all. Should I slide in the chair? I can't move no more. No, you can't move. Just sit back. Let me see. That's what I was reading. Like, for some reason, I'm fully in the shot. You see, look at the shot. Maybe it just needs to turn. Okay, let me see. Okay. You little better? Yeah, and if I stay like this, which I will. Okay, that's a little better. Yeah. What man, so? Observation. So this book is mainly about de-escalation, right? Mm-hmm. So what is de-escalation? De-escalation is the art of knowing when, and the art of knowing where, and the art of knowing who to make it home and to let other people make it. I probably never have explained it in that way, but I think the climate of the world that we live in, I think a lot of people in law enforcement or security or whatever, they don't understand that. It's not just about you going home. It's also about preserving life that you're encountering as well. Okay. And so if you have a de-escalation forward mind set, thought process, whatever, then all of y'all can go home. I like, but sometimes people need to get shot. No, I'm just going to stop it. No, I guess it doesn't work with everybody in every situation all the time, but this to me just means I have empathy for my fellow man enough to take it. If I'm running into a house in 4 seconds, I shoot and kill someone, I did not take a beat. Even if I took a 50-second to just figure out who was doing what and why. Yeah. If I just took a second to be an investigator, if I just took a second, maybe they wouldn't be dead. Yeah. They would be hurt because I'm punching you in the face for making them do whatever it is. I feel like that's fair. You know, so that's what I think relation to me has now become a preserver of life.
So that was, my thing was like, why is de-escalation so imperative? I think you kind of just touched based on that. Like, basically to hear that wordplay.
Why are de-escalation so imperative?
It is, though.
You don't want to share the bread. Okay.
No, seriously, like you literally just said, like, to preserve life. Like, we need to make it home. I want to make it home. I want, regardless of what the situation is, I want everyone to be able to make it home. So that, you know, like, it's imperative. It's a crucial mindset.
It's because, I mean, we're humans, and humans should take care of each other. Because animals take care of each other. They do. So I think humans should take care of each other, and I think one of those toolkits is de-escalation, because de-escalation can be used in anything. Because if I'm sitting at a table with my family and it starts to get crazy, I can use de-escalation. If I'm a bartender and things start to get a little weird, I can use de-escalation. If I'm a security, if I'm police, if I'm whatever, because inside of de-escalation is a huge empathy component. But that's what we lack. We all lack it. It doesn't matter if you're white, you black, whatever it is, we all lack empathy for our fellow man. Yeah. Because I'm the a-hole, so I know that sometimes I can turn my empathy off, but then sometimes it's on too hard, and now I'm in a situation because I'm so empathetic. So, you know, it's good to have it, but it's good to have discernment as well to know when and where and how. It has to be a balance.
I like that. I like that. That's actually, no, that sits in my mind a certain kind of way, because a lot of people are easily triggered, and things set them off. So you never know what that thing could be, and you're not even. It could be something as simple as, and they don't like to be touched, and you don't know what like you don't know the mindset behind some of those triggers. So
and so for me, I have a very smart mouth. I was born with that smart mouth. So for me to be a de-escalation person is hilarious to friends and family, because kind of is. But the thing for me is I know how to turn it on and off. And that's why I say in the beginning you need to know when and where. Yeah. Because I am who I am. But if the goal is to make it home and the goal is for you to make it home, I'm going to turn what I usually am down, because I know that it's probably trigger you, and you could probably trigger me, because sometimes I'm not even worried about triggering you. I'm worried about you triggering me. Yeah. Because of how I'm going to react to what you're doing. Yeah. So I turn it down. So I ignore it. And I chop it up to, you upset? I'm going to let you have it.
I understand. I get it.
I get that. Yeah. Because if it was me, I'd be upset too. Yeah. But that takes a couple of seconds. Now, if I'm just coming in hot, don't know what's going on, also not trying to figure out what's going on. Not just nothing, not trying to figure out. I'm just running in and running and gunning, but I don't even have time to make that decision for me or you. Yeah. I'm like, I gotta make it home, so I'm gonna just shoot you. And now we find out, you know, you're the one that called the police, or you're the one that called for security, or you're the one that needed help, or you're the homeowner, and I thought you was the robber. All these things that I have seen in these videos and things like that, if they just had de-escalation hearts, then it probably would have been okay. Yeah. Because even for the people who feel sorry afterwards, you wouldn't have to be sorry if you did better.
If you thought about that in the beginning. And because the thing about
people shoot at the police, people shoot at security, people be crazy. Yeah. But does that mean we need to treat everyone like they're going to be like that? Does that mean we need to treat kids like they're going to be like that? You got these 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds handcuffed on the ground, And now you're like, oh, it was just over some Skittles, or oh, it was just you got killed. Oh, all he had on was a hoodie. I thought he was, you know what I mean? Like there was no empathy, and we don't have it, and I don't know how to get it back. Besides continuously saying de-escalation is a tactical tool, but you also have to have some empathy in your heart and mind as well.
Yeah,
you can't de-escalate without empathy.
That's true,
in my opinion.
No, I feel like that's valid. It goes hand in hand. It's a mindset. It's what I'm realizing, especially after reading the book. It's kind of like it's a decision. You have to.
It's a decision.
Choose. That's the important part. Yeah, I like that from reading the book. I realized how from reading the book how hot-headed I was until I read the book. It was like, I don't do that. No, I'm so stuck on trying to get my voice heard enough. You. Not too often I had to say, well, you know what? If I probably would have, my tone, my delivery may have been
my tone.
Yeah,
my tone. And sometimes I don't even hear the tone. I'm looking at them like, what's wrong with you? Yeah. And now I got a whole other tone because now I'm actually aggravated. So this tone is actually what it should be, but the tone before that wasn't. Yeah. So, you have to deliver it. Life is one thing, but on the job, those triggers could be damaging because if you trigger someone, but they react in a physical way or a dangerous way, and then all it was your tone. Yeah, delivery is important. The message could have been what it needed to be, but if your delivery was off, then that kind of got to me like, I don't really don't care what you have to say now. Yeah, at this point, I'm not even listening. Yeah. You could be making a valid point. You could very well be helping. You could literally be helping, but just because of what you say, I really ain't trying to hit it, and I feel some type of way. Yes, right. People will never forget how you emotion is the biggest. Absolutely. I'm embarrassed, so I'm gonna fight. Yeah. I feel disrespected. People will say that disrespect. The meter of what disrespect is and isn't is different for every single person. That is very true. Because things that I think aren't disrespect is hugely disrespectful to other people. Yeah. And then the things I do think is disrespect, people be like, what? And I'd be like, what that says? And I base all my decisions on those kind of things. The foundation for me is loyalty. I'm probably one of the most to-fault loyal people ever. And it's a good thing and a bad thing. But I start there, and then I build the core values from there, is what I think. And so people sometimes will be like, you heard the way he talked to you? It didn't bother me. But did you see what they did? Yeah. That bothered me. Yeah. So, yeah. I like that. You spoke on core values, right? Just now. Core values, there's this secure, okay? that you have. That way. Yeah, right? So originally it was just kind of U.S. security. Yeah, kind of hear the word secure, and your mind automatically goes to secure, just making sure that everything is straight and safe. Yeah. What does secure mean to you? So secure is an acronym for my company's actual core values. So let me not get the core values wrong. So it's security, equity, community, unity, responsibility, and elevated. That's exactly what it means. Good job. Sometimes I get the easy backwards, but elevated is last because all those things should elevate you into elevation. Got you. I like how you did that. Yeah, I'm a psychopath. So security is the obvious one. Obviously, this is the way we're doing it in a security form, in a security fashion. And then equity is because that's what I think employees lack. Like if you go to a major company, sometimes people have equity shares in the company, and the equity share means you are technically maybe a 20% owner in that company. And if you work there and you also are a percentage holder, you're going to do your best at making sure that company elevates to the right place, right? Now, we're not an openly traded company like that, so we're not doing all that, but that's what that means. That means I want you to have equity in this. When you say something like on social media, I'm staying here, I'm here, I love it here. That's equity. That's what that means. That means you take pride in this, and therefore when you go out without me, you show exactly what I want to be seen. Absolutely. You act a certain way, you do a certain way, you talk about it a certain way, and people are going to perceive it a certain way because of the equity that you have in the company. So now I'm trying to give people more equity. So I sent out recently some company memos, and the memos are to get to know the person better, and the other one is to let them know that there's several options for you to make money in this company, and some of them take more work than others.
Yeah.
Like there's an affiliate program. Obviously, that's just you sending out your link, telling people to take class. But then there's a department head opportunity where you're actually going to reach out to clients and do that. And like, so I'm opening it up for people to have more equity in the company.
Thank you.
And so that's what the equity means. And then the community is like, we wouldn't be here doing this or talking if the community didn't support us. Right. If the people didn't support me, if the business owners didn't support us, things like that. And then responsibility is you have a responsibility to uphold these core values at every moment, at every day, at every time, whether it's the way you look or the way you act.
Yeah.
And so that's what that is. And what's the next one? Unity. Well, that was first, but yeah, unity. That's what I need. I need that. I need that on all levels because eventually we're gonna get huge. Yeah. And I still need unity. I still need unity. Eventually, we're gonna be huge. Eventually, we hitting the $1 million mark. Remember that $2 million mark? That was what it be, baby. Okay, so eventually we're going to be huge, and there's going to be more layers and more levels and more peoples. And as an officer who worked for several different companies, I see when the disconnect starts to happen. Yes. I see when the top is just like, just do the job. Yeah. Just get it by. Yeah. I ain't never gonna be doing that. First of all, I'm too anal, and I'm too much of a perfectionist. And then the E is elevated. And what I say by elevated is basically everything I do in my life, I try to do it on an elevated level. I'm really big on like, I don't know, romanticizing every little detail. And so things like massages, or I have a massage therapist that comes to my house. I have a nail tech that comes to my house. Order out my groceries, like, and not just order out my groceries. I'm doing flower deliveries from Whole Foods and things like that. Like that, I'm trying to live the most elevated in any instance that I can, because from your level, there's always an elevated level. If you're at the very bottom, there's still an elevated level. If you're at the medium, there's still an elevated level. There's always a level that you can go above whatever it is you're at. And so I think about that as security, and that's why I kind of specialize in the event spaces and weddings and things like that, because I want us to look elevated, because all black security officers, all black male security officers pretty much wear the same thing. Like, you know, they're gonna have a cell phone in their hand with a black case, and they're gonna have outdated vest on that either says officer or enforcer or special agent, and they got a black hoodie on, some jeans and some black boots or something like that, like working at the club. Like, I don't want us to look like that. Right. And so I put elevated in there because I want everyone to know that we need to set a new standard, and we need to dress that way and act that way. No, seriously, because you've elevated me. Little do you know. But you know, we out back at the ranch, right? When I first got like detail for like the butterfly room and like some of the wedding detail, and it said like suit attire. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize off. It did, like real badly, like, but only because I wasn't used to that, right? So honestly, it was kind of like suit attire. I thought the word tailored mean I had to go buy a suit that came tailored. Okay, right? Oh, you know, just simple stuff. I had just not for me, just in general. If someone says tailored suit to you, sometimes that means go, but you can take the clothes you already have, and you can take them to a tailor, and you can now breathe into them new life by getting them tailored to you. Because you have some stuff that's too small that could be let out. You have some stuff that's too big that could be taken in, shortened, and now it looks spectacular on you because you have now went and got it tailored. So it's not necessarily go out and spend money, because I also don't like when people go spend money to make money. Okay, because I'm paying the industry standard, and I don't think that requires you to spend $300,000 or $300 on gear and clothes and boots, and then I'm paying, an hourly rate that doesn't fit that. Yeah. So when people be like, "Oh, I'll just go buy something," I'll be like, "No, let's figure out a way to make this work without you going to spend $400 on this."
I'm glad you did that, because I didn't. People like me, I had no idea that was even a thing, especially doing security. I was like, wait, what? A tailored suit? Like, what does that mean? Like, I low-key panicked. Like, hold up, I gotta get. It took for you to actually just say what you just said. Like, no, that really just means something that fits well.
Yeah, fits well.
Not too big, not too. And I'm like, oh, you know what? And the crazy part about it is, we don't want no Steve Harveys out here. Oh, no, Steve Harvey. The old Steve Harvey. The principal, we don't want anybody like that. So, oh, man. Yeah, principal. Off the joint, Mr. High Tower. Obviously, no Mr. High Towers over here. Please and thank you. Okay, I went from that to now doing like wedding detail and events at the Butterfly Room. Now they're my favorite. Shout out to the Butterfly Room. I love them. If you are in the DMV area, Butterfly Rooms in Sandtown, it is a nice place to have a wedding or an elegant event. Tell Anna that Jazz CEO and Ms. D sent you. They are one of our favorite clients, so shout out to them. Yeah, that's a free ad. Big shout out to Anna. Like, so, and now those are my favorite. Those are actually my favorite details. And now those are my favorite. Go. And now those are my favorite details to do. Because it's like, it's a little, and it actually does something to your confidence a little bit. It does. It put that little drip on, and when you feel good, you do well. Yeah. When you feel good, you do good, you speak well, think high, you do more. You know what I've noticed, especially for young men, when I get young men under me and I tell them to wear a suit, I've taken people to the store to buy suits. I'm not surprised. Because they don't know what tailored means. Yeah. They don't even know how to shop for it, look for it, or what to do. And that's not their fault. That's their daddy's fault. And so or like saying there had to be that. There is a daddy. At some point, there is a penis involved in the making of that child. And therefore, there's a problem. Okay, so what I've seen is that mentoring people through that tailored process is an actual thing, because it throws people off, but then when they get in the suit, they're like, something magical happens. Because there's always an elevation from wherever you are. Yes. Period. Yes. I love it. I love it. I'm to the point now where I'm kind of like, I do it, and people don't necessarily know I'm security, but they know I'm security, right? It's kind of like, hey, it's a present. And I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm security. Yeah. I didn't know you were security. You're running with everybody else. And it's somewhere at like the after hours.
With a Z. The brand is Z.
With a Z. That Z. What's up with that Z, by the way? After hours with Z. What's up with that Z? I'm just saying, because one, I've never seen that. So I love it. This shows authenticity.
So, okay, the Z is technically my name. My nickname, J-A-Z-Z, Jazz, the CEO. So the Z is technically my name, but you know what's funny about that? So I smoke cigars and I golf and I shoot. So I have a lot of older, rich, white friends. And I've had two on separate occasions who don't even know each other, actually. So this is how you know this is really a thought process in that culture.
Okay.
That the Z is ghetto. And when I see a name like that, I automatically know it's a Black-owned company, which I think is absolutely true. But I had to decide at that moment when I was told that on the second occasion, was I going to change the name? Was I going to go, I need to be what white people want me to be. I need to be what the status quo is. I had to decide. Right? Because I don't want just white-owned money. I don't want just white-owned money. I want everybody's money. I want everybody to pay me. And sometimes them non-melanated people, they don't universal funds. You know, they don't ask for discounts usually, but I gotta say, we're in negotiations right now with a big company and they're asking for a discount. But, so, you know, I had to decide, like, then I realized what I was deciding while I was deciding whether I was going to change the name. Or not change the name. They said I should do a subsidiary and it should be like AH Firm or AH Incorporated or something like very high end. And I actually still think that that's a good idea, but not because I'm trying to unghetto myself. Gotcha. But just because I want to subsidiary. Now, if I want something, AH Incorporated, and it's just an A and an H is sleek and it looks very corporate and high end, okay? Instead of a clock. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I understand that. But I think what is happening for me is I'll never let a white man tell me what to do. And I believe you. And I like that a lot. Like that culture. That is what I identify as. Yeah. If you talk to my therapist, I identify as a 50-year-old white man, 2 tax brackets above me. That is what I identify. Now, originally, she was asking me, how do I identify? And I'm sure it was something to do with being gay. But I said my rebuttal was, I identify as a 50-year-old white man, 2 tax brackets above me. And she stared at me for a good 15 seconds and started writing in her notepad. But I'm sure it's a whole nother episode of the podcast. But anyway, so I decided I'm not going to let nobody tell me what to do. I like that. And I'm not going to let nobody tell me that my culture isn't good enough. Even though that's not what they meant, that's what I heard. Mm-hmm. I heard, this is too hip, this is too slangy, this is too, and who are you? Yeah. You're not even in this. You're not even in this industry. Absolutely. Now, are you successful? Am I going to listen to you? Yes. I listen to those same people about credit, and that's how I got 15,000 different Amexes. Like, I listen to those same people about different things, but let me tell you something here. You can't accept every form of payment from every outlet. You can't accept every piece of information from every person. Some of those things need to be filtered out to the left and to the right, period. Because they could be right about that, and they could be wrong about that. They could be helpful, and they could be hurtful. So you have to really be able to have discernment. Come on, vocab. You got to have some discernment on who to seek counsel from, who to seek advising from, who to seek mentorship from. Understood. Start with, are they where you want to be, right? Start there. And then continue with the discernment. Yeah. Because I don't want to listen to somebody who's never done what I'm trying to do. Yeah, don't let the cow tell you where to go buy chicken. Absolutely. No, seriously. I'm understanding what you're saying. Like, that's so wrong. So that Z is often. So that Z is all that. Yeah, that's me. That's who I am. That's my name. Now, originally, it started as a nightclub. It was an after-hours spot. So it made sense. It was not. So what happened was, we had a building in the back of Security Mall. We had 2 locations at one time. We grew out of the first location, which was kind of by Johns Hopkins. It was small. It was like a studio space. And then we got an opportunity to move in the back security mall. We had one storefront. Then we busted into the next storefront. So then we had 2 storefronts for the mall. Then we had 3. Because anything that I do it on elevated ground. And so we ended up having 3 storefronts in the back of security mall. It's a church now. It used to be a village upstairs and it used to be empty, so we had the full parking lot. And so that was an after-hour spot. We started at 12 a.m. and ended at 5 a.m. And then I was still a federal officer at the time, so we would end at 5 a.m. and I'd be to work by 7 a.m. Wow. Yeah. And so, we're doing that. But what happened is once we got a little successful, there was a lot of hate in the county. And not even from the police. There was other businesses, hookah spots that would try to report us. But I had relationships with different police officers, and I would know about those things ahead of time. And I would know when there was a fire marshal visit coming and things like that. And then the next set of things that happened was the guy who owned that back part of the mall tried to go up on the lease too much. And it was just like, it was like rent. And it was like, I might as well go get an actual building if I'm going to pay this. Or I might as well own the property if I'm going to pay this. And it was just like, it wasn't worth it. And then the third piece of that was that my soul was not fulfilled anymore. People were leaving my facility or my establishment drunk off their butts because I had a great bartender, shout out to see my bar. And there was no fulfillment, there was no purpose, there was no, at first it was like, wow, look what I accomplished, look what I did. And now there's fights and there's this and there's that, and it's like, but I'm also creating the space for that to brew. Oh, okay. And I didn't like it anymore. Okay. And so I told my staff, and it was hilarious because it was definitely lucrative. And I told my staff, and they looked at me and stared at me, and they were like, "Are you serious?" And I was just like, "Hey, I don't think I want to do this anymore. I think that this is going to be our last month of doing this. It's not fulfilling." Yeah. And it was like, what? And so I let it go. And once I let it go, I kept certain pieces, and that's how it became the brand, because it became an entertainment company. I see. So we did security, we did hookah, we did hosting, we did DJing. I took all the little pieces. Right. I took all the little pieces of what we did and kept it as a side hustle. Understood. Because now I'm not curating those spaces. I'm just coming in doing my thing and leaving. I'm coming in DJing. I'm coming in hosting. I'm coming in, you know what I'm saying? So it was like that, and that's how the brand came. And then fast forward, that was like 2014 and 15. Fast forward to 2018, I got really sick. And once I got really sick, I lost a lot of things. I lost a house, I lost my car, I lost my girlfriend, I lost a whole bunch of things. But when I got better, it was like, do I go back to work? Yeah. Or what's next? What do I do? Because in between, what I skipped was I had a TV show on ABC2, I had a YouTube series, I had a building, I had a podcast studio, video photography studio, a little bit of everything. Bottom half of it we rented out for events because I can't get rid of events. I love them things. And so, I did a lot of things. And so now I was at a pivotal point in my life where I was like, what's next? Yeah. I have lost everything. Yeah. And so, one, I'm always a hustler. I'm from New York, so I'm a hustler. So I'm like, whatever I do, I know I'm going to get it back. Yeah. What is it that I'm going to do? What is it? Yeah. What's next? What's next? And so my business coach that I mentioned earlier, she was like, which thing that you've done that you love the most? And so no matter what I was doing, when I had the lounge and I had the studios, I still was doing security. Right. And so I said security. And so she said, okay, start your own company. And I said, no, girl, ain't nobody starting lounge. Shout out to Shauna for planting that seed. And so that's it. That's how that happened. And I was like, but I'm known for after hours. Right. And so I went downtown, and I didn't change the LLC name. I changed what the LLC did. So I took off entertainment. I took off TJ and I took off all that stuff and I put in the security services.
Nice.
And that's why I kept the name and that's how I kept the name.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah. So technically, I've had the name since 2016, but really I started after I was security in 2019.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
What would be? I mean, that's an accomplishment by itself. Mm-hmm. I'm quite sure you're going to accomplish so many more things. That. But from then to now, what would you say has been one of your greatest accomplishments?
From then to now, from then as in when is then, whatever you're from zero. From zero, from start to here. Okay, this might get a little deep by accident, but from zero to now, my greatest accomplishment is still being able to walk. Okay. When I was 15, I woke up for school and fell on the floor and wasn't able to walk for probably half my sophomore year.
Wow.
My rheumatoid arthritis came and decided to show itself. And I had to go to rehab and all these things. I didn't know what was wrong with me, testing and all these whatever, back and forth to the hospital. And then, they told me, you might not be able to, you might be paralyzed by the age of 21. Wow. And that sent me into a depression as a kid. Elevator pass. Like, there was a lot of stuff that made me who I am today, and that's why I go so hard at everything I do, because there was a time where I thought that I couldn't walk. Understood. Or that I wouldn't walk. That you walk. Yeah. It was a time when I was only 16 thinking 21 was so far away. Yeah. And thinking 21 was so grown. Yeah. When you're a teenager, you're like, 21 is the big. Yeah. So I'm thinking, I'm going to be paralyzed at 21. Wow. So I started a business called Almost Famous Creations at like 16. Wow. I was doing custom sneakers, and I was putting, Elmo and Sesame Street, and I was doing Greek, and I was doing, back when MapQuest was out. There's a pair of sneakers that I had that when MapQuest, I used to print out MapQuest and put whatever your hood was. Whatever your hood was, I would put it on the toe in the Nike sign. Wow. So I'm from Buffalo, so Bailey was the hood that I was in. And I used to put the Bailey, which was like the main street, and all the side streets, I would sell it to all of them. Like, wherever you rep it, I can mix it. Yeah, real quick. So I started doing that as a young age because I thought I was not going to die, but I thought I was going to be in the house for the rest of my life. So if I'm just saying from 0 to 35, my greatest accomplishment, it would be that. But, I learned something 2 days ago in a meeting, that accomplishment and success are two different things. And we were having a conversation about pivoting and sales and how to do this and get new customers and do this and stuff. And, they were just like, you have so many accomplishments, but you're scared to do whatever it is we were talking about for me to make my next move, to do whatever it is I wanted to do. You're so scared to do that because you haven't tasted and sat in success. You've tasted and sat in accomplishments, maybe one after another, over and over. But now the things that was working for you before are not working for you now because you're out of that accomplishment already. It's time for you to ascend into success. It's time to move upward and not forward. I received that. And so I hope that's a word for somebody. It is time for you to move upward and not forward. We've been moving forward for years. You can have accomplishment after degree, after accomplishment, after house, after accomplishment, my new car, after accomplishment. But now it's time to move upward into success. But those things are just normal, not really accomplishments. Because on every level, there's an elevated level from that level. And so I'm being mentored in this moment to say that I'm done with accomplishments. It's time for me to move into success. And I'm here for that. It's scary. It's scary. I know it's scary in general. This is actually part of that because I wasn't going to do a new season. new kind of content, moving into consulting and other things. So I really think that people need to know that accomplishments and living in success is two different things.
That is very interesting. Yeah. That's a gem right there. I hope y'all let that soak in y'all spirit.
That's a gem. I don't know where that came from. That's all right. But you asked, from 0 to 35. So walking and now knowing that I have had so many accomplishments, but they don't necessarily equal success. Yeah. And when she said it, I was like, what? Yeah. But if you go to college, you get a degree, you get out of college and can't find a job, that was an accomplishment, but now you don't even have that success.
Yeah.
It's different.
That's very different.
It's different.
And then a lot of people end up on. So now you're working.
Not only that you have success,
you're working to pay off.
Right. So I got this accomplishment.
Yeah.
So I got a whole bunch of accomplishments. People are my accomplishments. Individuals who are seeking to be elevated. These type of things are accomplishments. And now I know how to speak that word with authority because I understand that it's different than success.
Understood.
So now I'm working on things that are success because success is longevity.
Yes.
Accomplishments come and go.
Yeah.
You can have 3 accomplishments in one day because they're just things. They're just short term. So now what I'm working on in personal and in business is longevity. I told somebody who was talking to me about 11 months, I said, I'm talking about 10 years now. What's up?
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it's you, for the long haul. So my accomplishments are new thought processes.
That's important. Mm-hmm. That's so important because
always
the way that you think becomes the way that you move.
Yeah.
Like your thoughts become your actions. So when you have a certain kind of mindset, you walk in that light. Good or not so good, because unfortunately everyone doesn't have a right mindset.
And and then another one is I'm trying to solve a $5,000 problem, but God is trying to give me a $500,000 solution. If you think it's small, if you think it's small, you want to see it small.
Yeah.
If you open to be used to be a vessel to receive big, then the big has the space to dwell.
Yes.
And if it don't have the space to dwell, I don't know where's it going to go. It's not coming.
Yeah.
You can pray every day for it, but if you're not open to it, if you're not open to receiving, if your arms aren't wide, if your hands ain't open, if your palms are not up, then you ain't getting it.
And that's crazy because my martial arts instructor would say a plane can't land or take off if the strip is not clear. So I love the way that sits.
I like that.
That's ball. Wow, that's amazing. I might have to say that myself, actually.
That plane literally will sit for hours and delay everyone on the plane. So then for me, that plane analogy goes to how your delaying of your blessing is going to stop other people's as well. How does that trickle down to your family? How does that trickle down to your coworkers? How does that trickle down to your employees?
Because it's not just about you.
Because it ain't just about
your domino effect. The impact that you leave or have on other people's lives. Which brings me to my next thing. If you could be remembered,
is this your next one or is this the last one?
This the last one.
I got my big one.
Yeah. And I'm like,
anyway, let me get up in here. All that. So there's my place, right?
If you could be remembered,
do you remember
for one thing, what would it be? You've done so much. You've been really just not the hair. It's the way you put this head off of me.
For one thing,
because I know you felt like that legit could have been your answer though. Like,
it was the first thing that came to my mind. I'm not gonna lie. When you said it, the first thought was my hair because I never thought that I would have this kind of hair. But that's another podcast. So I want to be remembered for the opportunities that I have given, presented, shared, and led people through. I think I want to be remembered for my impact, and I think my biggest impact is being a vessel of opportunity. Like, I might not know, but I know somebody who does. I might not have, but I know somebody who does. I'm not going to do that, but I know somebody who does. Or jobs or trainings or free things or whatever it is that I'm a vessel for it to come through. Talking about what we just talked about. Right. That might be a serious word for somebody. Yeah. And so that's what I want to be known for being a vessel.
To be honest, you will. That's exactly because you're so deeply rooted in that. You are so each one teach one. You are so.
It's not because I like people though. It's not because
I'm crazy. I know that.
It's not. I know that. It's that I'm
just passionate about growth and elevation.
I'm passionate. I'm rooted in God. You are. Ooh. And when you are rooted in God, no matter if you want to or not, God's people is important.
Absolutely.
Your story needs to be told. Your cup will runneth over, and if it runneth over, it's got to splash on somebody.
Absolutely.
And so, no matter if I like y'all or not, the God in me will allow me to share.
And thank God for that.
Yeah. I personally appreciate you because I can't stand you.
So shout out to the big man for using you.
Yeah, I always say, use me.
Yes.
I always say, use me. I want to say what it is you want me to say.
Yeah.
I want to teach what it is you want me to teach today. And I do that also because I was born with a smart mouth. And so, like I said before, I was born with a smart mouth. I've been smart since I was 4. I was talking to people on the bus as a 4-year-old, young smart. And so, it was a guy looking at my mom. And I was like, I'm going to tell my dad. So I just think that I have to take what would be a bad trait and I have to turn it into a good trait. Right. My mouth is those things, and I can be powerful.
And you do. And that's the crazy part.
You know somebody being crazy.
The crazy part about this is I call you my Harriet Tubman. And it's because, so if listen, no, not just because you got the fedora. Okay. It's so powerful, and here's what I mean by that. Harriet Tubman wasn't just about herself. She went and made sure that, listen, as many as I can, I'm coming and I'm going, I'm coming back and back. And then it's crazy because she also said, that's a little deep, but she also said, I could have freed so many more if they only knew that they were slaves. Right? The one thing about you is you are always trying. She said that. She said that. Okay, I mean, something like that. I mean, that's actually my favorite. See, close. History. Okay. Person, lesson. That was my favorite movies. I don't like slave movies, but I loved Harriet Tubman, and I kept watching it, and I listened to the soundtrack. Oh, really? So I ever heard the soundtrack? Yes. What's her name? Cynthia Herrero. We don't play Harriet Tubman. Okay, she's a singer as well. Really? So it's a soundtrack, but she has an album, but the song that she sung, I'm gonna check into that. So okay. You remind me so much of her because it wasn't just about her. And that's how you operate. It's not just about you. Like, even to what you say, I like people, right? I feel like it's my duty. I'm an introvert. You are, though. That's the crazy. I don't have to leave the house. I do not leave the house. But I exude extrovert tendencies. Yeah. Because when I gotta be on, I'm on. Yeah. When I gotta be there, I'm there. When I gotta put it on, I put stuff on. So yeah. You're very selfless with information. Like you are so like, hey, I have this tool, here you go. You know what I mean? Sometimes it could be training, it could just be words, it could just be a resource, it could be whatever it is. Like you're so, you know what's crazy? I really try hard not to be a gatekeeper. I appreciate you for that. I appreciate you for that. Even other owners of security companies, even people who are trying to do the exact same thing. What's for you is for me, what's for you is for me. I appreciate that. I'm not going to fight with you over. Listen, I remember asking you one time where he got his shoes from. He was in New Balance, which of course is a Baltimore thing, right? I had never seen these shoes before. Like, not this particular, the colors was just crazy. Dang, bro, those are bad. Where you get those from? Nah. See, I can't tell you that, right? I just said that.
And he gatekeeping him saying his name and never even money.
I don't even want to tell you where he got his shoes. He's a man, you a woman, so that's it.
It's crazy.
Let somebody go and outdo you, or do the same thing you doing or whatever, but you so authentic and deeply rooted in who you are. Your thing has always been, I don't have a problem with sharing anything that I have, because I am me.
Now, anything that I think is proprietary, anything that I think is an after-hours way of doing things, or I don't want to see it executed by anyone but us, or things like that. Now, there might be some things where I, those are my those are my secret sauce. But for the most part, what I think the industry has to understand, especially in the DMV, what I think the industry has to understand is that most of y'all that are fighting each other, y'all fighting over scraps. Because the people that y'all don't even talk to or hear about, that's because they're on $1 million contracts. They're on those $2 million contracts. And they don't have time to fight with you over a housing complex. It's just not what they don't have time. They don't care about your little 60,000, 50,000, 80,000, because they're doing $2 million a month. They're doing every day, 24 hours. They're doing, you know what I'm saying, mass production kind. So y'all are fighting each other, but y'all actually fighting over scraps. And so I will not be involved in that. Because one, I'm going towards $2 million anyway, so I don't have time to pit stop with you. That's one. And for two, I can see from the outside that is not what I wanted to be if I had became an owner. As an officer, I spent 15, 16 years being an officer. So there's a lot of things I've seen from all levels, being a sergeant, being a captain, being a regular officer. There's a lot of things that I knew when I had my own thing I wasn't going to do, I wasn't going to tolerate, or whatever, So.
But you share that information on some aspects, it's more so on the lines of, I've been through some stuff and it kind of went a certain kind of way for me, and I would rather you not have to do that. You skip some of the BS that comes along with
this de-escalation stuff, because I turned the book into a class, and I'm turning it into a class because I'm like, let me help you be more valuable when you go in and ask for more money. Let me give you something to be a resume builder. Let me give you something to be a lifesaver. Let me give you something else, because I know what it was like when I didn't know what I was doing with de-escalation. I know how I reacted. I know how I talked to people. I know how that didn't help the situation. I'm not sure other people did. So I've already been through these things and experienced these things, and therefore I already know how it's going to turn out. And so I'm trying to save you. So, one last thing. This is the last thing.
I know I said it the last time, but you're going to be the last one for sure.
Okay, last thing. Okay.
All right? If you could just give one random piece of advice about anything, just one random piece of advice, what would it be?
One random piece of anybody?
Anybody. Just one
random piece of advice would be that you are not worth what you think you're worth. And let me explain, because I know people are like, oh my God, that's so rude. Yes, it is rude. And it ain't, you know what, I want to say it's not even about being humble. Because the definition, I looked up the definition of humble the other day, and the way we use it isn't actually how we should use it. Because usually we say humble, which means like, don't brag, don't boast, but I think the definition, don't quote me, but the definition of humble is like to shut yourself down, lower yourself. And some people use it as that, but in slang we use like, yo, humble yourself, calm down, you can lose your anxiety. But really it just means don't show up as you. It means dim your light. So no, I'm never going to be humble. So that don't really mean that. I just mean sometimes you want more than you're worth. You don't have the training that you need, or you don't come. Let's take relationships, for example. You want this, that, and the third from a spouse, but then you cannot reciprocate this, that, and the third. So whether it's financially, emotionally, spiritually, you want all these things. You got this list, you got all these boxes to check, but you don't actually check any of the boxes. Therefore, you're not worth. Talk about it now. Then you go on the security side of the world. you want so much money because you're armed, or you want so much money because of this, but really you're not worth that money because you're going to actually cost me money when you do something dumb because you don't have de-escalation skills, you don't even have communication skills,
right.
And you can't even really teach that. And you don't have this, you don't have OC, you don't have handcuffs, you don't have batons, you don't have anything to use before your firearm, so you actually are a liability, therefore you're not worth me paying me more, when technically you're going to cost me more. But you think, I need a well-rounded arm, but you think just because you're armed, and half of y'all can't shoot. So you being armed doesn't mean anything to me because you won't hit little Susie down the street anyway because you can't.
Wow.
You don't have no sight line, no sight picture. you don't, you know what I'm saying? So I think sometimes people just be wanting more than they're worth. You are not worth what you think you're worth. And then on the other side of that, because we can flip it. Those are the negatives. I like to start with the negatives because I like to stir stuff up. But on the other side of that, you're not worth what you think you're worth. Which means when you stay in those abusive relationships or those bad situations or those bad jobs or whatever, you think you're worth that. You think that's all you're worth. You think that's all you're going to get. You think that's all that's out there. And that is not true. You are worth more than that. You are worth that raise. You are worth that breakup. So you would think breakup is bad. A lot of times that breakup is what is going to free your spirit. Yeah. So you are worth those changes. You are worth that upgrade. You are worth this. You are worth that. So yeah, my advice is to sit with yourself and kind of audit your life and think about, am I worth what I think I'm worth? Because you could be worth more, or you could be needing to do some work to be worth what. Because I'm not going to say you're worth less. I'm going to say you are in need of doing some work to become exactly what you think you're worth getting so that you can reciprocate that. If the job is going to pay you $45 an hour, you need to reciprocate that work ethic. You need to reciprocate that knowledge. You need to reciprocate the ability to handle situations without the boss. You need to, you know what I'm saying? You need to be able to reciprocate that if you are going to be worth that. So that is my piece of advice, because I just literally had a conversation with someone where I told them that I wanted to pay them more than the average pay for whatever they were going to do, but then negotiations was happening and I was like, it might not be able to get to that amount. And her response was, I didn't think it would anyway. I didn't think that was a possibility. That never really went through my head. And so she's an example of she is not worth what she thinks she's worth. Because I don't really base worth off just firearm or no firearm. It's all the other abilities. It's not just do you have OC or baton. It's also, are you willing to get it? Do you want to get it? Are you willing to learn? Are you teachable? Can I use you in a position and then move you to another position, right? Because if you're talking about sports, some people are like, I don't know how to play that, and then they become millionaires by playing off the position that they didn't even want to play when they started in school. You know, so it's just like, can I mold you? Can I use you? Are you a vessel? That's where the value is for me when I look at people, when I want to put them in supervision or when I want to put them in the administration, whatever it is I want to do, that's what I see. So that's my last.
I like that, Jazz. That actually made, I soaked in myself a little bit when you said that. Like, I hope y'all hold into what you just said. Because some self-reflection that need to happen. Self-reflection. You got to become one with yourself and be okay with the hard stuff.
Because when you said I was selfless, it's funny because it's not even really that I'm selfless. It's really that I am so self-aware and I am so in love with myself right now. I am so serious about self-care right now that I'm able to pour into other people because my cup is full. And even if I am not financially where I want to be or whatever, I'm like, but emotionally and spiritually and physically, I'm wearing, okay, I got a little belly, but that's neither here nor there. But I'm there where I need to be. So the other stuff just going to be about
you're a resourceful person. Like, just being able to, someone call you and ask you a question. I called you without, I figured you would know the answer to that. Or if you don't know who, if you don't know, you know somebody who, you know what I mean? Like, just sometimes it's not always about financial. Sometimes it's just about somebody who can just, sometimes it's just a word. Sometimes some people can just say the right thing just to kind of, speak life into something or someone. So That's a gem. I appreciate that one myself personally. I hope y'all appreciate that too as well.
Yeah, so now I want y'all to give it up for Miss D because we're gonna switch back. I'm gonna be the host now. Y'all know enough of my business. I'm done with that. I'm hungry. It's time to go. Alright, so Miss D, thank you so much for being my Oprah.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you being my Oprah. You know what I'm saying? I'm on some Tyler Perry stuff, so you go back to Tyler Perry. So yeah, I really thank you a lot. But before we go, I want to talk about the bundle course for de-escalation. So 0 to 35 is back out. It actually has new cover, but it's back out, but now it's in a bundle, so you can start your non-lethal journey, your value builder journey, your resume builder journey with de-escalation 101, and it comes with the book, and it comes with a training video, and then it comes with the actual course all in one. And I won't even tell you the price because it's unbelievable. So yes, so I gave Ms. D a book before, but I accidentally had signed it on a random page and didn't see that I signed it. So I'm going to have to re-sign the book and give Ms. D her own copy of From 0 to 35 De-Escalation Tactics, Techniques, and Tips to use before ever using your firearm or your weapon. I don't like saying weapon anymore, so that's what I mean about change. This was 3-4 years ago. I don't use the word weapon anymore because in court it looks bad. But anyway, so this is for you. I'll get into that class. Y'all make sure y'all follow me at I Am Jazzy CEO on all platforms. Y'all make sure to like, subscribe, share, comment. Y'all make sure that if you having a festival this summer or an event, a birthday party or whatever, hit up After Hours Security at www.afterhoursecurity.com. That's After Hours with a Z. With a Z. As we'll help you out. We'll be in there. We'll get you right. We'll secure the whole atmosphere. And yeah, man, thanks for tuning in to this episode. We're out.
But thanks for tuning in. See you soon.